What's up, Rev Gens? Nick here today. I'm going to talk a little bit, like I said earlier, about the captive versus broker model. Now, I don't know everything there is to know about being a captive agent, so please comment below and subscribe. Let me know if there's any differences or advantages that I missed or even negatives. I know the biggest negative that I've seen with being a captive agent is really, really simple. They normally don't own their book of business. They work directly for a carrier and it's more of a job. They normally have salaries and benefits and sometimes a quota. Sometimes they pay for leads, sometimes they don't. There's a lot of gray area with the captive agency, but I do know this. Normally they don't own their book and they normally focus on one product from one carrier. So for example, if you work at State Farm, you're not selling Geico, Farmers, insurance. You can't sell other things. Same thing with the big carriers in Medicare. If you work for Humana, United, it doesn't matter. That's the product line that you sell. That's the carrier that you recommend every time because that's what you can talk about. So being captive kind of gives you tunnel vision. I always say it's kind of like you're a carpenter, but you have a hammer and everything looks like a nail, even if it's not. You have one tool to use and that's what your go-to is going to be. There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of good carriers out there that have great product lines that's awesome. But you normally don't make as much money as a captive agent and you do a lot more, work or production. And the reason for that is normally you don't have the costs associated with the insurance business because it is more of a job type scenario. You punch in, you work your 9 to 5. They pay you a base salary, you make your sales, you don't really make a ton of commission on things, or you don't make any renewals. It's not really the same exact thing, but these people are normally competitive depending on the space that they work in. I know I deal with several, captive agents I run into from time to time, and normally the problem is they just don't have the variety in the products to be like, here, this is the best, or this is what the combination I would use. On the flip side, as a broker, some of the positive things, number one, you could represent a ton of companies at one time. So a lot of options. You can price shop for the client. So really nice if they say, oh, I'm just looking, perfect, I'm going to help you. Price shop for them. And you can mix and match depending on, what the topic is. If you're looking at Medicare and hospital indemnity and final expense, you can mix and match those products where if you just work for one carrier, you pretty much have that carrier's line. So I always say that's a little bit of a negative for, the captive agent and it's a positive for the broker agent. Now, on the negative side for brokers, you own your business. You own your book. The buck stops with you. So on the positive side, as a captive, normally they give you leads. They supply people for you to talk to. They handle the marketing for you. So you don't have to deal with that cost. Where as a broker like myself, I have to buy my leads. I have to create my business. I have to eat that expense, go sell them and keep the machine running forward. So big negative for being a broker is that you have to pay for your own expenses. Now the flip side of that, again, there's always a silver lining. Normally that lets you have expenses that you can write off, that you can help with your taxes, things like that. If you were a captive agent, you sold an unbelievable amount of insurance, I don't know how that would even work tax-wise. Would they write you a commission check and deduct it? Do you get deductions? Again, comment below if you know how that works for a captive agent, because I have no idea. I've never been a captive agent, and I don't ever plan on being one. But it also depends on what industry you're in. I'm in the senior market, Medicare, final expense, hospital indemnity. If you were in like the car insurance market, captive agent might be awesome. I have no idea. The other big difference that I've noticed, and from just talking with a few captive agents, is normally they don't own their book. Meaning, like, I could sell my batch of clients to, another FMO or to another, purchaser. Where captive agent, you don't have anything to sell. You don't own the book. You just work on the book. So you're more of a job versus you own a business. So they don't normally have a clear exit strategy other than like retirement, which from my understanding is very similar to a job. You get certain benefits, you put in certain time, yada, 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 it goes on. The other big thing that I would say is there's a lot better structure when you are a captive agent. They pretty much say you have to do this, this, and this. And then they know based off your activity what your your production will be. And that's how they justify paying you if you have a salary. Where with a broker, there is 100 different models that you can follow. I buy direct mail leads. I know guys that buy hundreds of Facebook leads. I know guys that don't leave their house. They just call on the phone. I know guys that send letters and packets and things. Like it's unbelievable, like the diversity of what you can do as far as your production and action goes. And you pretty much write your own destiny. So if you don't follow the plan or work hard, you fail yourself. Whereas a captive agent, if you don't work hard or do what they say, you fail because they say you don't work here anymore. So it's definitely a balance between, where do you fit into the insurance industry and what you want to do. Personally, I think the broker is the way to go. But there are big negatives. Like I said, you have your lead costs. It's up to you. It's your business. Ultimately, the buck stops with you, and you have to get through your licenses and be ready to invest into yourself to grow your business. Whereas a captive agent, from my understanding, is you could apply, you go on an interview just like a job, and they help you get your licenses, and there you go. You're out selling insurance for XYZ carrier. It doesn't matter. So it's a fine line. I know a lot of guys that start out as captives and then end up in the broker space. And normally it's because they want to have more freedom, or they want to have a little more autonomy, or they want to own their book. They have a ton of clients and they're like, I'm not making the kind of money I should be making. So ultimately, that's kind of the where you need to figure out what you want to be. Again, I recommend being a broker like myself. It just gives me a ton of options. I own my book. I can work as hard as I want. I am my own boss, but a lot of people can't handle that. If you can't handle sticking to a schedule and holding yourself accountable, then being a captive agent might be exactly what you should do, because someone else will hold you accountable. Your manager, your district manager, whoever will literally say, you need to show up today and do X, Y, Z. And if you don't, you're fired. So that may be something you need. So again, that goes kind of both ways. It's all an opinion, but ultimately the biggest advantage, like I said, with being a broker is you own your book. So in 20 years, when I have amassed, several thousand clients, I can say, you know what, I'm out, and sell it. That's my retirement. I can sell. Where with a captive agent, you don't have anything to sell. You can say, I put in my 20 years and I wrote millions of dollars for you guys. Can you please give me a good retirement? So that's kind of how I look at it. It's a long-term play. Now, if you're looking to just get started in insurance, being a captive agent might be a good thing for you to do for a year or two. Get your feet wet, see the industry, have a backup plan that the carrier is going to provide for me. I'm going to have a salary. I'm going to have a base. I'm going to have a mentor. They build all that stuff right in for you. So that might be the way you go. But personally, if you're a gung-ho kind of person, you're self-motivated, you want to be on your way to the path of success and wealth and freedom, you have to be a broker. You have to be independent. You have to take it on your shoulders that you are going to be successful, because there is no other way. You either are successful or you fail and you go back to your job. It's just kind of the way that it works. I'm going to do a couple videos about leads and like how this business actually works from a cash flow perspective, focusing mainly on the senior markets, Medicare, final expense, that kind of stuff. But if there's any other differences or anything that I missed with the captive agency or with the brokers, comment below, because I definitely will do a follow-up video to this to go over anything. If you have a different opinion than me, please below tell me why, because I would love to hear from some captive agents of, what are the advantages? Why do you stay? Why do you do this way? Because I know on the broker side, I like the freedom, but I also know that a lot of people can't handle that. So let me know in the comments. Get out there and sell something. It's good for you.